Hello and welcome to my booktube channel, Jack in the Book Stack, where I talk about a wide variety of book genres and the bookish lifestyle. In today's video, I am continuing my series on reading the Stormlight archives for the very first time. This is part 2. I am reading the Words of Radiance. If you missed part 1 where I read The Way of Kings, I will link that reading vlog for you, where I read the book, did a spoiler-free review, and it was incredible. I was confused, but it was incredible. So I'm very much looking forward to continuing with part 2. And there is a very specific reason why I am extra hyped for this book. Particularly, out of any of them in this series, this is the one that I'm most excited for. I'm going to show you why. It is because of a video that Murphy Napier did. She was interviewing the man, Brandon Sanderson himself, and I got a little clip from that interview. I will link the entire interview down below. You should definitely take a look. Brandon Sanderson ranks all of his books in order of his favorite, like his favorite to write, and it was so fun to watch. But in particular, when he talked about this book, here is what he had to say.
Words of Radiance is my highest rated book by fan engagement. I don't know if you know that.
It's my top book. That one and Well of Ascension are my top 2 books of yours.
So on GoodReads still, we actually have passed up
Really?
Harry Potter.
No way!
And so the only book that I'm able to find that that has a better rating than Words of Radiance on GoodReads is Calvin and Hobbes' collection.
Okay, I was gonna say we need to take it down, but Calvin and Hobbes.
I am totally fine
if you have to be
with
vested
this
by
ranking,
something,
right?
Yeah, that's
like
the
it's
one.
the Calvin and Hobbes collection. Yeah, that should be untouchable.
That's acceptable.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so
you're number 2 to Calvin and Hobbes.
Number 2 to Calvin and Hobbes.
That's a big brag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it is the best fan regarded book that I've released.
I would agree with that.
So that does. There are quirks to that, right? For instance, Way of Kings is going to have all the people who get into it that it's just not the right book for them, drop off, and they're going to leave a review that's accurate to their experience on GoodReads, which is going to pull down the rankings for Way of Kings a little bit. So you can't always compare first book to the rest of the series, but yeah.
Needless to say, I have very high expectations for this book just from that clip alone. But I am also hoping to get more answers in this book because I feel like I have a good foundation of the world and maybe an introduction to the magic from The Way of Kings. And I love the characters, and it ended in such an explosive way, like a cliffhanger that I'm dying to know what happens next. So not only do I want answers to the plot, but I just need to understand more about the world and the magic and the political system and really what we're dealing with here. So I'm hoping for some answers. Let's go ahead and get started.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago. But all will be okay, I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright. And for the first time in a long time, I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago. But all will be okay, I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I'm not falling, I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going life. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
This chapter right here, holy shit. That was action-packed, and I can't stop reading now. I am checking in now that I have finished parts 1 and 2 in Words of Radiance. I think I'm about, I don't know, a third of the way in, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm still really confused, but I'm learning the different plot threads a lot better, and I'm getting more comfortable with my discomfort, if that makes sense. So at this point, my reactions are still spoiler-free, because I don't know what's going on, so I can't really spoil anything. But I feel like since this is book 2 in a series, and book 1 is a massive 1,000 pages, like my audience for this video is not those people that are new to the Stormlight archives. It's probably people that have already read it or familiar with it or in progress. So I'm not going to summarize the plot at all because it's much too massive at this point if you're not familiar with it. And I don't think anything I have to say right now is going to spoil book 1 for you, but I'll definitely let you know later when I'm going to say something that spoils. Right now I kind of just want to talk about the things that I am confused about because I think it'll be cool when it all comes together and I'm like, oh, that's why that is. So I'm learning a lot more about the magic. It is super complex. I have a better idea of the Stormlight, how they like suck light from these like stones or whatever to like power themselves, but still different people have abilities, and I'm still learning about that, but it's a little bit more clear like who has these abilities and what those abilities are. The Spren are something that are much more prominent in this book, I feel, than they were in the first one. We had Syl, who's like attached to Kaladin, but I didn't know there were as many. Like they're talking about pain Spren, anger Spren, like they pop up with different emotions, which is interesting. And then the explanation to Shallan about the relationship between Spren and humans historically was very interesting. Or was it the relationship between Spren and the Knights Radiance guys? I don't remember, but apparently there was like a connection with the Spren that was severed. And I'm learning more about their abilities, which is interesting because they all have like different categories, like Wind Spren, I don't know. And then we're introduced to Pattern, who is quirky and gives me a little bit of that charming humor with Brandon Sanderson's writing. Like he usually has a character that's kind of like that. So I like Pattern, the Spren that is kind of hanging out with Shallan. Speaking of Shallan, I really like her character arc for the most part. I like how she is kind of deciding who she wants to be, what kind of woman she wants to be, who she wants to emulate. But I was really frustrated with her when she came across, what's the other woman's name? Tin? Or something like that. I hated that because Shallan decided to lie to her about who she was. She was saying that she wanted to be a con woman. And this is not a spoiler because it's such like a minor element of the plot, but she lied and was like, oh yeah, I want to be a con woman. Can you teach me? And I'm like, that's a stupid lie. You're setting yourself up for such drama with this lie. Just tell her the truth. Who cares? Who cares? But anyways, that turned out okay. That was very satisfying. And whereas in book 1, I didn't really care about Shallan. Like I like the academic, scholarly kind of characters that put a lot of emphasis into knowledge and studying. I like that, but like she wasn't like a main character in my mind in book 1, but I'm really liking her journey here. Just as I said, as she is deciding what kind of woman she wants to be, and she's kind of coming into her power, both in the magic aspect of power, but also her power as a woman, as an adult, as she's just growing up, as she's finding herself in these different positions where she can assert her authority. I'm really, really liking her journey so far. But Kaladin is still my favorite character. I'm not going to say I would die for him because I kind of like being alive, but I would bleed for him. Okay, that sounds kind of painful. Like a little bit. Like a paper cut. I would have a paper cut for Kaladin because I adore him so much. And just how he looks out for people. His insecurities kind of get on my nerves sometimes. Like, everything that I have that's good is taken away from me. I'm like, okay, I get it, but can we just suck it up here and be the badass that I know you are? I love how he looks out for people. Like the Bridge 4 guys and how attached he is and how he wants to do good things for them. There was one scene, I think it's with their Proshendi soldier. Was he Proshendi? I get confused with all the like races of people. I think it's a Proshendi soldier that was in Bridge 4, and he's like, why don't I get a sword? And Kaladin's like, I can't give you a weapon because everybody would lose their minds. And he's like, well, then I guess I am a slave then. And Kaladin was like, holy crap, I think he's right. Like, I'm not treating him well. I don't know what to do, but I'm not being fair to him. I'm kind of being a hypocrite in my treatment right now. And I like that reflection. Nothing more has come from that yet, but I'm expecting something will happen because it's not there for no reason. But I love as he's learning more about his abilities. I don't know what it means. I mean, I guess it has to do with the Knights Radiant. Is that what it is? Knights Radiant? What are the Words of Radiance, by the way? Where did this title come from? Because it was mentioned like, oh, the Words of Radiance. And I'm like, wait, but what are they? I don't even know what those are yet. Anyway, oh, is it the journey before destination? Are those the words? Is it like, because then something else was Shallon or someone, they're like, oh, but you spoke the words. So maybe it's like a contract? I don't know. Another area that I'm confused with, but loving every second of it, is Dalinar. So him having his fits during the storms, okay, we get it, but I still don't know what these visions mean. I don't understand it. I mean, I think we were supposed to learn like a little bit at the very end of The Way of Kings, like who he's talking to or where these visions are coming from, but I'm still kind of confused. I would like more clarity on that, but he has a clear mission that he has to like reestablish the Radiance people. So that's cool, I guess. I mean, I'm not clear like who they are, like warriors that defend humans, I guess. I'm confused who these people are supposed to be, like these defenders of the world, I think. Like, and we have to bring them back so that we can save the world? Maybe? Possibly? I don't know. But Dalinar, I need more clarity there. But I like his journey, like trying to bring all the High Princes together and be on the same side, stop this squabbling amongst each other during this war. Like, bring everyone together, look at the bigger picture. I like that. I like in his storyline this ominous countdown that's being like scratched on the walls, like so many days to go until doom. I'm like, ooh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? So that is really intriguing. His bratty son Adolin still needs some work. He needs to grow up a little bit. He's kind of like a Chad frat boy, I think. But I mean, that's how he's designed to be. Like, he's a ladies' man, can't hold an engagement. All the girls like hate him because he's such a dog. You know, he's impulsive, he's quick to anger, he wants to prove himself, so he's meant to be kind of like frat boy Chad. So I know. We're gonna see some growth there. I have some faith in him. He's had some moments with Kaladin that makes me think this guy's gonna come around. I think they're gonna be BFFs. And even, what was it, the monk teacher guy, weapons master, said to Kaladin, like, you and Adolin are more alike than you know. And I think it was around there that they said that Kaladin was like 20 years old. What? Okay, so I think largely a lot of readers would agree it's annoying when young characters, like late teens, early 20s, are just like powerful masters of everything. Like, they're like the best fighters, the most intelligent, the strongest powers. Like, it's kind of annoying when they don't like have to work for it. And I did not picture him as in his 20s. I pictured Kaladin as like 35. So I'm a little bit shook by that. I kind of just want to ignore that factor and just keep picturing him as like a 35-year-old man, like more seasoned in battle, because he's been through so many things, and like he's leading all these armies and or soldiers and stuff. Like I just picture him with all this life experience as being older. So that kind of shocked me a little bit. I'm also really confused with the interludes. Like sometimes I see how they apply to the larger story. They're just from like a different random character point of view. I'm like, who is this Joker? Whenever I get to the interludes, I'm like, can I just get this over with? Because I don't like those sections. But I'm at part 2 right now. This is much faster paced, I feel like, than book 1. Book 1 was definitely like setting the foundation, but now I just feel like there's so much going on with the plot, so much character growth with some of these guys, so much mystery. So even though I'm confused and there's so much more elements of the magic, I do feel like it's much faster paced than the first one. So I'm having a great time, and I need to shut up now. I need to shut up. I need to get to part 3 because that's where I'm at. And I am so excited to see what happens next. Oh, I forgot to mention, we had an appearance from the assassin in white, and I can't wait. That's one of my favorite elements. That's why this plot is so complex. I can't even recap it if I tried. But the assassin blows my mind. I was really curious about him in the first book and the magic or the spell that he was under, that he has to do his master's bidding. And after his latest assassination attempt, I'm just like, I want more. I need more of him. Like, get me away from Sadius. I don't care about Sadius. Give me more of this assassin because I need to know what's going on there. I'm super pumped. I'm rambling now because I'm so excited. Okay, for reals this time, I'm shutting up, turning off the camera, getting back to reading.
What? Shallon is 17?
Here running errands, dropping off some books at USPS that I sold on Pango, parked next to this very colorful vehicle. Interesting. And I'm listening to the audiobook of Words of Radiance. And did Shalon seriously just ask Adeline how he poops in his shard plate? I nearly ran off the road. I was laughing so hard at that conversation. She is a hoot.
Okay, so who are the Voidbringers, and do we want them to come back or no? I'm confused. Who are they against the Night Radiance? Even though I can't define for you what the Words of Radiance are, I am better understanding their role in things. So here we have a conversation with Kaladin and Syl, and he's saying, "What do I do, Syl?" And she says, "You must speak the words." And he says, "I don't know them." She replies, "Find them." So I think also, weren't the Words of Radiance, wasn't that the title of the book that Shallon was reading, and then they were lost at sea? I think so. Not sure again what they are, but I understand that we kinda need those.
Do you see how cute these paws are right now? It's like she's reading with me and judging everything. Okay, I think I get it. So the Words of Radiance are like the oaths that the Knights of the Radiance have to say in order to gain their powers and their strength, right? And they exist, the Knights of Radiance exist to protect mankind and protect the innocent from things like the Voidbringers, who are like the bad guys. I get it now. I get it. I mean, still a little confused how Shallon was reading a book called The Words of Radiance that like outlines the different chapters of the Knights, like the different like classifications of their abilities and whatnot. That didn't seem to be like oaths, but I think it's all coming together now. Now that I'm finished, I think I would rate this 4.5 stars. I really love the theme of protecting those that can't help themselves. I love the idea of protecting your honor and upholding your word even when facing adversity, when it's not convenient to do so. So I liked those themes. What knocks it down a half star is that while I gained a lot more understanding in book 2 of the Stormlight archive, I still felt confused most of the time, and I don't want to spend 1,000 pages feeling like I'm on the outside of an inside joke. There were moments where I felt like it was pivotal to the plot, and it was pivotal to the magic and understanding, but I just couldn't grasp it. And I don't like feeling dumb, and this really made me feel that way. So the plot, I loved. 5 stars. Each character's plot, loved it. The character arcs and development, 5 stars. Loved it. The politics, I don't care as much about because there were so many other things going on in the plot that I wasn't as fascinated by that. But it's really in the magic and the world building that causes it to go down like half a star, because I understand a lot more. But I want to be, when there's a plot twist or something happening, like I want to be like in on it, right? Like I want to know like, oh dang, that just happened, I didn't expect that, but like understand why it's a big deal. Whereas here I just felt like I was missing something. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts on Words of Radiance, but I want to get into some spoilers right now so I can speak more specifically about things I liked or disliked. I'm going to go ahead and put a spoiler alert on the screen so that you can fast forward if you want to when this is removed. So if this is on the screen, then don't watch, don't proceed if you don't want to be spoiled. You've been warned, we're in the spoiler section. Okay, so here are some of the things that I'm confused by, or I liked or didn't like, but I am speaking to people that have read this and can understand like what I'm talking about. These are like discussion points really. So firstly, we have the 2 grand high storms that are like colliding, right? And this is going to be like the end of the world type situation. So the Almighty is doing this? Because Syl said it was her father creating one of the storms and the Voidbringers creating the other, the one with the red lightning. So the Almighty wants to wipe everybody out? Is that what's happening? Like, end of the world thing, and like God is doing it. So that's the first thing. I'm not confused by it. Like, I'm pretty confident that's what's happening, but like, huh? Really? The next thing I'm confused by is Szeth now a good guy? So the assassin in white was killed, but then a god saved him? Was it the Almighty that saved him? Who saved him at the very last minute before his brain died? And is he good now? Because they were saying that like, hey, you follow the rules to a T and that's admirable, so we're bringing you back from the dead. So now is he a Knights Radiant? And is he supposed to protect mankind now instead of unaliving people? Did I get that right? Please let me know if I got that right. And even though Dalinar explained it to me, I don't understand what happened with, what's his face, Amaraman guy? What happened to him when he was visiting the prisoner in the cell? Like, I know that was a test, and I know that he failed it and he showed his true colors, but I feel like the conversation that happened, that was a moment where I was supposed to have some clarity. I feel like that was supposed to be like an, oh my god type moment, but I didn't understand what was going on. And that like bumbling prince, right? I need to understand what happened there. I understand the consequences of that and how Dalinar like got a sword from it, but like who was this guy? And then the interlude, the one guy who was there when like a king was dying and he was going to be the successor, and I think he was the one that sent the assassin in white, and he was saying, oh, it's such a shame that Dalinar has to die, but he seemed like he was all for the Knights Radiant, like, coming back. So, like, is this a misunderstanding? Is that guy, his name starts with a T. It's something, like, really confusing, but, like, is he a good guy? And I feel like he was mentioned at the end, too, by another character. So I don't know if he's supposed to play a bigger role in all of this. Like, he's someone that I'm really confused by. Some other things that happened that I didn't necessarily love, I really sense a love triangle is brewing between Shallan, Adolin, and Kaladin, and I'm not here for it. I really hope it doesn't go that direction. I am really hoping this is like a Luke, Leia, Han Solo situation. Like, I want her to be with Adolin, and I want, what's his face, Kaladin. Even though he's like my favorite character, I want him to be like a brother figure to her. I don't want a romantic situation there. And when they were like stranded together, and going through like the crevices thing, like I thought, like, oh man, this, I can see it. I can see it brewing. They're getting a connection, but I love Adolin. So I'm going to be really upset if a love triangle starts brewing and if she ends up with Kaladin over Adolin. But here's the thing too. I don't think all of the Kolins are going to survive. I feel like one of them has to be killed off because they're just too good, right? Like, I'm kind of bracing myself for something really emotional to happen and for a character to die that I really love. So I could see it being any of them. I could see it being Dalinar, Adolin, or the younger kid. I can't remember his name. But his plotline took an interesting turn, right? Like, the little weakling kid now has this ability I think is really cool. So even though he wasn't like a perspective we got, I thought he was interesting. And speaking of perspectives, I thought it was really interesting how like book one I felt was really focused on Kaladin. It was like Kaladin's book. And this one felt to me like Shallan's book. Really focused on her. Loved her development. And I watched my Way of Kings video before filming this just to like refresh of what I thought of it. And I was saying I was really frustrated with some of her decisions. I still was. She still made some decisions here in book two that I didn't agree with, that I thought were not the best, but I still really loved her journey as she's finding herself and coming into herself. I do not agree with her being 17. There's no way. No way. Like, I don't like that. It's not believable. I don't like her having like all these skills and this life experience at 17. Not that you can't have a lot of experience as a teenager, but I don't like to read it. I wish she was more mature of an age. Even though I feel like this was Shallan's book, what happened with Kaladin and the direction his character took was so satisfying to me. The journey he went through, like trying to decide what is right, and his contradicting promises that he made people, and how it actually like killed Syl for a little while because he was contradicting himself. I love that. And then like his realization was so powerful to me, and like remembering his younger brother. And I love Kaladin. He is one of my favorite fictional characters. I'm loving his journey and his abilities and how powerful he is. I think I love all the characters in this. The character work is so good. The only character I didn't like was Thaddeus. And we might be done with him, right? I don't know. His storyline, where it ended in this book, I don't really buy it. It can't be that easy. It seems much too easy for like how much we built up this conflict with Thaddeus. I don't know if it could be resolved that easy. So like that is still on my mind. After the Way of Kings, I definitely felt the us versus them approach with the Prescendi, the ones that we are battling, right? That's what they're called, the Prescendi. There's like two terms that are really confusing, like the servants that the Alethi have, and then the people they're battling. I'm confusing those like races or those classifications a lot, but I think it's the Prescendi that are their enemies. So Way of Kings, I kind of figured like these people are not in control of themselves. They're like in some kind of enchantment or whatever, and it's mostly because of like how they're singing during these battles. It's like they're not in control. So I had that sense in book one, but really diving into that more in book two, especially when Adolin is fighting them, and the moment right before he makes his final blow, his final strike, he sees the realization in their eyes, and that kind of broke my heart. My little Disney heart had a hard time with it. Like, I don't like slaying of innocent people, and it feels like these Prescendi are innocent because I don't think they are in control. I think they were convinced by their leader that they had to convert to this new species, and man, that's just that's a rough time, but I think we're coming to an understanding of it from seeing how the race of people that they use as their servants can be overtaken, influenced, what's the word I'm looking for? That they convert to the Voidbringers, right? Like that's pretty clear to them now. So I don't know, I kind of hope that helps. The other thing that I'm not too keen on, so I don't like sci-fi. And what is the difference between fantasy and sci-fi? Kind of depends. Depends on your definition, your preference, and like the actual book. To me, having a portal to another dimension or another world or this with Urethru city is sci-fi. And I hate it. I hate it so much. I feel like it's an easy out. I feel like, oh, we're backed into a corner, so we're gonna write a portal that the characters can go to another dimension. I feel like it's such a cop-out, almost like a dream sequence, right? Because like none of this stuff matters because you're just going to another dimension. So I wasn't thrilled with that being the resolution to the big battle. I was kind of disappointed. But I also feel like the Cosmere does have sci-fi elements to it. So I was and am prepared for that kind of stuff in my read of the Stormlight archives. So I'm not like taking off anything from my rating for that. It's just that's one thing that I'm just like, ugh, okay. So those were my spoiler-filled reactions to some of the specific things that happened in the book. And overall, I did really enjoy this. I don't know if I liked it or loved it. I'm still kind of chewing on that. It's very epic. I don't know the difference between epic fantasy and high fantasy, but can this be both? Because it was so intricate and so complex. Again, 4.5 stars because I didn't understand a lot as I was reading, and I don't like that feeling of like being left out of the read. I want to be included in what's going on. So I didn't necessarily like that vibe, but I do appreciate how complex this is, and if I had to give a spoiler-filled explanation of what the book is about, I don't think I could do it because it is so complex, and there's all these different threads of a plot line that are woven together throughout time. It may not seem relevant at first, but you know, as the characters come to meet each other or their intentions, you know, kind of cross over, it's very interesting how everything is woven together. So I definitely have appreciation for it. And ultimately, my favorite thing about the book is when I finished it, I felt good. I felt hopeful. I felt happy. I felt optimistic. I mean, the whole book is not all happy. Not everybody lives. There was a death of a horse that really traumatized me for a moment. But I felt good. And I think that's because our main characters mostly have like a good moral compass. They want to do the right thing. And I really like that. So, and I think I might have even mentioned this as being something I loved for The Way of Kings, book 1. And that holds true here. I just felt happy reading it, and cheering for the good guys can feel really good sometimes. And when good things come their way, you're super happy. They're like the protectors, right? So Brandon Sanderson makes me laugh. He makes me feel good. He makes me feel hopeful. So it's a good escape read in terms of mood. I would not say it's a good escape read in terms of distraction because like I was just so frustrated I didn't know what was going on, but I did really enjoy it. Now, is this better than Harry Potter? Well, I don't know. I haven't read the Harry Potter books either. So I can't comment on what GoodReads ranks these books, like how they all fall as that clip in the beginning. I don't know, but I can definitely understand why people love this book and this series so much. So that is my reading vlog of book 2 in the Stormlight archives. And be sure you are subscribed because I'm going to be reading all the books in the Stormlight archives. And let me know if you like the format of this video, like doing spoiler-free and spoiler-filled at the end, because I had fun doing it that way. I think it's a good way to kind of address lots of different audience members, right? Those that are interested in the series, want to learn more about it, but don't want heavy spoilers, and then those that have already read it, I can connect with them as well, have conversations. Maybe you guys can help me understand some of the stuff that's going on, but if you're gonna make a spoiler in the comments, can you please just label it spoiler so we don't ruin it for anybody else? That'd be great, because nobody likes a spoiler. I actually spoiled myself because I was looking up on Etsy. I was looking up graphics to download, so that, because I ultimately want to rebind these books, and there was, it said a character name sucks, And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this one is gonna betray. I know it. I know it. So I spoiled myself because there was like a t-shirt that said the character name sucks. And I'm like, ah, I like that person right now. So, yeah, no spoilers. Nobody likes a spoiler. But thank you so much for hanging out with me in this reading vlog of Stormlight Archives, book number 2, Words of Radiance, now that I know what the title means. And I'm excited to keep going. Very excited to keep going with the reading. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video.